Happy video day, guys. Christina, Brooke here. Today we've got a fun video. So I was searching through my older videos from last year because can you guys believe that I am planning end of the year videos? I know. I am kind of in shock. To be honest, I cannot believe that 2021 is about to be over. We're going into Thanksgiving week. Then comes Christmas and that's it. We're done. So I've been planning 2021 end of year videos. So I was searching through last year's videos to see what kind of videos I could start posting for you guys for end of year, like follow-ups and roundups. And today we're going to be doing one. Today we're going to be talking about all the makeup that I loved last year. So these are the products that were in last year's favorites. So these were the favorites of 2020, and I'm going to tell you guys if I still love them now and kind of like how they sit with me now. Do I still use them a lot? Have they been replaced? And we're going to talk about all that good stuff. But I also have a giveaway in today's video. So I'm actually doing a post for Look Fantastic's holiday box for my Instagram. So they sent me over their box, but they sent me over two of them. So I got double the boxes. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is I'm going to be giving away the second box to one of you guys. In order to enter to win, I'll go ahead and show you guys what you're going to receive. Most likely I will not ship it in this huge box. I'm probably going to put it into an individual box so it's not so bulky. But in order to win this box, you just have to be subscribed to the channel. So if you are not subscribed already, don't forget to go ahead and hit that big old subscribe button right now. Also, just leave me a comment down below of what has been your favorite eyeshadow palette of the year. That'll be like your entry comment, and then just leave me your Instagram handle after that. If you don't have an Instagram handle, then just leave me an email address. And because this is really an Instagram post that I have to do, I am going to ask you guys to please follow me over on Instagram and leave a comment on the video that I'm going to be posting about this box. So it's going to be a reel that you're going to be seeing today. So that's going to be the entry information. If you guys want to see how to enter it, or if you missed something, just look in the description box. I'll outline everything you have to do in order to win. I'll also put how long I'm going to have the giveaway open for, because I really honestly don't even know at this point. This is literally just came out at me and I was like, you know what, let me just give it away. And I also have another huge giveaway coming, so I think we're gonna have a lot of December giveaways, so just get ready for that. There's going to be a lot of giveaways coming in December. Now that we've gone through the giveaway, let's get into all of the items that I used to love last year and whether I still like them or not. So let's go ahead and let's get into that right now. Okay, so let's start off with the first thing. I have everything written down, like I wrote it all down here so that I could remember. But the first one that I have written down was the Rare Beauty Foundation, which actually I have sitting right here, so you guys know it's this one right here. I still really like this stuff. Now, I will tell you there is a new foundation that you guys know that I'm completely obsessed with, which is the LYS foundation, and it kind of has like taken over the foundation game for me. So it's not like I am constantly reaching for the Rare Beauty one anymore. But last year, I used that thing so much. Like, it was my go-to foundation, and I still really love it. It's like a serum foundation. It feels really nice on the skin. It takes a little longer to blend out because it is a serum, but after, it just looks so natural on my skin. I love the way it looks. I would wear it like every single day, and I've told you guys this before. I have very acne-prone skin, and that foundation, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but I feel like it cleared my skin just using that foundation for like almost a whole year basically. Obviously I had some breaks with some other foundations, but I feel like that cleared my skin a lot. My skin loved it. So I still really like that foundation. Not wearing it all the time anymore. Actually, I'm almost out of this bottle. This is almost gone, and I think it was a very successful purchase. So yes, I still recommend that one. I still like it. So the other one was from Makeup Forever. It was this one, the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Foundation, and I still use this, and I still really like this. I will say that this is a foundation that you use when you're going to be doing a lot of photography. Anytime like I know that I'm going to be doing a lot of photography outside, or I know that I want something a little thicker on the skin so my skin looks a little bit more perfected, I reach for this. In my opinion, it's just like a certain type of foundation, and it's used by me at a certain time. I still really like it. It still would be a favorite. I think I would still consider it a favorite, even though I think that the foundation I use now kind of covers all the marks. I think it looks really good in photography too. So this is still a favorite. So the next one that I have on the list is from Bare Minerals. So this is the Complexion Rescue. And I think that this is not going to come to a shock to most of you guys. I still use this quite a lot. This is my favorite tinted moisturizer. It still is. I've tried other tinted moisturizers. I thought that a few of them were really going to bump this off the list. Like the Chanel CC cream, I thought I was going to love it more, but I think it was more the color that I got just wasn't good for my skin. I looked too white every time I wore it. And they didn't have many colors to pick from. So this one ended up always being better for me. And then I tried the YSL one this year, which I loved it, but it made my skin itchy because it has a lot of fragrance in it. My skin didn't like that tint, but it looks so gorgeous on. I really thought that that one was gonna bump this one out. I was like, oh my goodness, I think I found another amazing skin tint. But at the end, it's still Bare Minerals. I still use this one consistently. I would still put this in a favorites. And so yeah. Still really good. The next thing I had on the list was this. So this is from Rare Beauty too. So this was the Rare Beauty Concealer. And I think you guys can tell by this bottle that I really like this stuff. And I did use it last year and I used it a lot this year. Look at it. It's basically gone. So I repurchased this twice. This is the second bottle of this concealer that I have owned and I really like it still. Now I will say like a lot of products, I have like a replacement this year. Since I try so many products yearly, sometimes things just, you know, like they make me like them more. And there is a product that I'm liking more right now, but this is still super good. So I would still say that this would be a favorite. I don't know if I'm going to repurchase it again just because like I try a lot of makeup and I don't want makeup just sitting there just because I really like it if I'm trying another product. But let's say I wasn't a makeup channel. I probably would keep repurchasing this. So yeah, I think that this is still a favorite. I really, really like this stuff. It's very lightweight, doesn't do a whole lot of coverage, but because I use my color corrector, which is also on this list, I really don't care about the coverage as much anymore. So since we talked about that, let's talk about the next thing on the list, which is my Bobbi Brown color corrector. I love this stuff still. This is like honestly, this is still a favorite. Like this is like, it's like my favorite color corrector in the universe. I've never tried such a good color corrector. I put it on the inner portion of my eyes and I put it right here. So I'll put it here and here. That's where I have the most darkness. And then I just put my concealer on top and blend them together and it literally brightens and covers the blue so that when I put the concealer on, it doesn't need to do that much coverage. The blue is already canceled with this peach color. So I really love this. I don't have a hard time with concealers like not covering the blue because maybe the color that I got was a little too close to my skin tone and I have too much yellow and that's not going to cover the blue. I don't have to worry about that. This is like a peachy undertone. It covers and cancels my blue circles and then I just put on whatever concealer. Still love this. I've tried so many other color correctors and I've never seen something so good. So yes, light to medium bisque, the best color corrector. And if you're over 35, start trying to use something like this if you have dark circles and you will probably thank me in the future when you notice that your eyes don't look so wrinkly because you put on less concealer. All right guys, so the next thing that was on the list was from Too Faced. So that was the Born This Way concealer. Do you guys remember this? So now I think that this is a product that in general is just a really good concealer. I got this, I think, in a subscription box and I used it a lot last year. It's kind of like I found it last year, even though it had been out for a while, and it really became one of my favorites. I still really like this. I mix it though because it's way too dark for me right now. And I wanted to buy one of these during the Sephora sale and I actually forgot. I was gonna get this in my right color, but I didn't do it. I forgot to do it, but I really, really like this concealer. This is still a really good concealer. I think it's just like one of those products that withstands time that everybody always will like because it's really like that good. Then when it came to bronzers, I had this one on my list, the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer, and I love this. So I think you guys know if you watch my channel, this is one of my all-time favorite bronzers, and I still love this bronzer. I have it in the color Tan, which is the third one because I figured the second one might be too light for me, and I'm so happy that I got this color. It's the one I wear every day. So yes, my skin will always look a little bit more tan because maybe the color I should have gotten was 2, but I like for my skin to look super tan. So for me, this is just an amazing bronzer. It's just so, so good. And I have tried Charlotte's bronzers before, and in my opinion, they wouldn't show up a lot on my skin. So that's why I went even darker with her stuff, and I still really like this. This is one of my favorite all-time bronzers. I bought this last year, and look at that dent. We've got pan, and I'm a makeup channel. So you know that's a good bronzer. The other one I had on the list here is from Fenty. So I had put the Fenty Cream Bronzer on my list from last year. Now I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I haven't actually pulled this out in a long time. I think I stopped using it towards the beginning of last year, and I know the new Anastasia one came out and I started using that. But I think the truth of the matter is that Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer is so damn good that all of my cream bronzers are like not even used. Like I only use that bronzer. So to be honest, would I say that this is still the best? I don't know. I think I would probably have to use this a little bit more again. But I remember loving the color Macchiato. Huh, I don't remember. I really don't. So it's so funny, you know what blush I had on my list was the Mini Bloom from Natasha. So now I don't remember when this released. Did this release last year? I don't even remember. But this is a beautiful blush. I have not used it that much this year at all, but I remember using it a lot when it came out. And I still would say that if you guys want to try Natasha Denona blush that's beautiful, this is a really good one. I went through this thing a lot. Actually, I'm shocked I haven't really pulled it out this year, but this was such a good blush. So yes, I could see why I really, really like this one. I could see why it was in my favorites because literally I went through this. Like I would use this every day because I would just leave it there on my counter and I would always use it. So it makes a lot of sense. Then I had some eyeliners in my favorites, and this one, the Charlotte Tilbury dual-ended eyeliner. I remember really liking this, and especially for the deeper plum color, and I used this quite a lot, but towards the end of December, like right before the new year, Natasha Denona launched her eyeliners, and literally I have been using Natasha Denona eyeliners like the entire 2021. So like, can I say that this would be in a favorites again? Probably not, because I'm just so obsessed with those new eyeliners. Like when I have used this recently, what I can remember is this pinker color I don't love as much as the dark one, but it's just because the pinker one doesn't really show up that well on me and the darker one shows up a lot. And one side is matte and one side has like a little bit like a glistening color, and the glistening is the pink, which I didn't like as much. So I probably wouldn't put this in a favorites again this year, but I do think that this is a really good product because I do remember using it quite a lot. The House Laboratories. I remember, guys, that I really loved this House Laboratories liquid liner. It was such an easy to use liquid liner. I also liked it in this brown color, and I will be honest with you guys now, this brown color lately, when I try to use it, it's almost too dull for me. I don't know if I've gotten so used to the Natasha Denona Macro Blade, which is the one I have on today, that her liners are just so black and rich, and you get like kind of spoiled, that I think in 2021 I got spoiled with eyeliner, that I will tell you, I don't love this product as much as I used to, and I think it's just because my new liquid liners are just so stark and beautiful. Now, I don't have a brown one, so this is black from Natasha Denona, and this was brown, so the brown was a little bit more faint, but I guess I'm really into the really dark black, but I would like to see Natasha Denona come out with a brown one. So I think for both of the liners, what happened was is a really good product came out in 2021, and even though they're still good, it's just like they're like, the product that I have now is just so much better. So let's talk about some eyeshadow palettes. So one that I loved last year was the Mini Zendo. And actually, I was pretty shocked that this was on my list because I did not realize that in 2020 I love this palette so much. But I will tell you, in 2021, I still think that this is beautiful. And I even told you guys, this is probably one of my favorite mini Natasha palettes. It's just so pretty. A lot of the looks that I've created with this, I have really loved. Do I reach for it that often? I actually do not. And like this year, Have I used it that much? No, but I still think it's a beautiful palette. Last year it probably was one of my favorites because I did get it towards the end of the year and I probably started using it a whole lot and being like, wow, this is so pretty. But I don't know if I would put it in my favorites this year, but I definitely would put it on the top in like a Natasha Denona rankings because it's just really, really pretty. And it's almost like a shame. Like I look at this now and I'm like, why didn't MIDI size Zendo look closer to this? Like I really wish it would have looked closer to this because this was so beautiful. Okay, so then we have this one right here. So this is from Natasha Denona and this is the Glam palette. So I did have this in my top of my list and I still love this. So yes, this would definitely still be a favorites for me. I think that this was such a beautiful palette. I totally get why I liked it. And I actually don't even think that last year I even knew how much I was going to love this. I started using it in 2021 a little bit more like at the beginning of the year and I came out with such beautiful looks using this palette that yeah, I totally see and I totally think that this was such a good palette, such a standout. I really think it was just a really well thought out palette. And I still really, really love this. Okay, so Makeup by Mario Master Mattes. I loved this palette last year. Actually, like just looking at it, guys, I remember the looks that I created with this. I remember doing some fashion stuff outside and taking pictures and doing these really beautiful smoky brown eyes. My hair color and my eyes for some reason look really good with like smoky brown looks. Like they just really work for me. So this was like a smoky brown look dream. And I also had a lot of palettes that released last year that I felt like they needed a companion palette. And this was like the perfect companion because it had all of those neutral browns that I needed, the smoking colors, you know, like kind of like those colors that sometimes brands leave out of like really cool palettes. This had them. This was like your boring neutral palette that worked with everything. And I still think it's really, really good. I will say that I think this year, 2021, a lot of the palettes were a little bit softer. They included a lot of these kind of shades because of the kind of colors that they had. So I think like I didn't pull this out as much because like, for example, the Patrick Ta palette, it was basically these almost same colors. The Tarte Juicy palette was like almost these same colors. So we had a lot of very soft kind of palettes released this year, especially in the beginning of the year, that this got put aside, but I still think it's really beautiful. So another one that was in my favorites was the ABH Soft Glam. I think, was it last year that I found this in the beginning of the year or the year before? I can't remember, but I was late to the game with this. I went to Ulta one day and just decided to pick it up and I said, you know, I always thought it was pretty, might as well just get it. And I ended up falling in love with it. I still love the quality. If you guys can see, I actually have gone through this pretty good. There's like little dents starting in some of the shades. And I really like this palette. I think it's so stunning. I still really like it. This would be in a recommendation of like your safe makeup, like the stuff that you know that you can go to and no matter what, it's always gonna work out for you. That is like Anastasia Soft Glam for me. Would I put it in my favorites this year? Probably not, because there is a palette that kind of took its place this year, but this would definitely be in like my ultimate favorites, to be honest. But the palette that kind of took its place this year was the Patrick Ta one, which I used so much this year, and it kind of gave me similar vibes. I might say that the ABH Soft Glam in general is a better color story and maybe would be more ultimate palette for me, but that Patrick Ta palette is something out of this world. I really love the formulas. Okay, so the next one that I had on the list was Celestial Divinity. Oh my goodness, what a cool palette. Now I remember when this came out, I did use this like crazy. There was just something so unique. These colors, they just look amazing on the lids. I was able to create some really fun looks, and I will say that most of the looks that I created using this palette were so cool, and I still think that they're so cool. It's not really a palette that I reach for like for daily life. Like I don't think I think, oh, let me put on the Celestial Divinity to go to my office. Like that's not like this kind of palette. This is like my art palette. Like I just feel like this is like when I want to do those looks that are just like amazing. Like even if I'm gonna go out somewhere and I just want those eyes, this is the palette I would reach for because it's just every color is so good. Today I have Utopian Dreams on, and it does like almost that same thing. Like they're just so rich in pigment and they just like really pop. And that's what this reminded me of. And I really think that this is still an amazing palette. I don't think you can get it no more, right? Because Celestial Odyssey is the new one. But I might like this one more than Celestial Odyssey, color story wise. This one might be a little bit more special. Now this, guys, was one that I loved last year. So this is the Mini Retro from Natasha. Did it release last year or did I buy it last year? I don't know. I think if I would have known what Natasha Denona was going to do to us for Midi Retro, I would have been like, are you kidding me, at the time that this released, because I loved this palette so much that I think the thought of Midi Retro being this burgundy palette would have just driven me mad, because this was just so beautiful and I really wanted these greens and like the dusty kind of like vibe going, and I thought that that was what Midi was going to be. But I loved Mini, and I think a lot of you guys loved it too. And yeah, this is still beautiful, beautiful mini. I think like if anybody is looking, like the two minis that I just talked about, Retro and Zendo, were just two phenomenal minis. All right, so we're getting down to the wire of my favorites from last year, and one of the ones I had on there was precisely my brow from Benefit. I actually had been using Anastasia Brow Wiz for so long that I found the Benefit one and I was like, ooh, this is so good, and I still really love this product. It's probably my favorite brow pencil for doing the front of the brows. There is a new brow pencil that I'm kind of obsessed with this year. I think it will be in my favorites, obviously, but this is still one of my favorite brow pencils, especially for doing the front of the brows, and yeah, still awesome. The other thing that I had there was the Makeup by Mario lip kit. Okay, so I became obsessed with this. I started using this so much towards the end of 2020. I used it so much I had to put in my favorites because I just couldn't believe how many lip colors I was able to do. And I remember one of the cool things was I would create these lids, and then I would be like, well, what color do I want? And usually when you have to look through lipsticks, you're limited. But then I would look at this and be like, well, do I want to go nude? Do I want to add a little bit of pink to my nude? Like, how do I want to go? Do I want to go really dramatic? And this allowed me to do whatever I wanted. And then obviously these colors here, you know, if you put the black, it's going to make the color darker. If you put the white, it's going to make it lighter. So it was kind of like to play up the looks, able to create some beautiful colors with this. Now, I like this formula better than his lipstick formula. It has to be somewhat different. I mean, they're both a little bit dry. Like this one was a little bit dry, but his new lipstick formula, in my opinion, feels very dry. So I wish he would have stuck to this type of formula. I don't know what the difference is, but there definitely is something for sure. The last thing from last year's favorites was my ColourPop Crossroads. Check it out, guys. Look at that panning. Woo! Christina's a panner. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I actually went through this. Now, something that's super funny is this also has like little glitters in it, and I hate glitters inside of powders, but this has glitters in it, and it's really hilarious that this year I'm gonna have a blush that probably is going to be in my favorites that has glitter in it. That I hate the glitter, but I just love the color. That's what happened with this. This color was so beautiful on me because it gave me like a tannish look, and it just worked so well, especially in the summer. But I hated the stupid glitters in it. But the only good thing is because ColourPop, when they put glitters in things, their glitters don't stay. Like they kind of like fade away. I didn't really see too much glitter. Like it would just like kind of fade away. But I loved this color so much that I would use this like crazy. Yeah, I hate the glitters though. So those were all of my favorites from last year and how I think of them now. I think for the most part, a lot of them ended up being things that really stuck around for me that I really honestly still really like. I really, really love them. And I think that that happens to me a lot because when I really like something, I consistently use it. Like I'll just keep grabbing for that and grabbing for that. And when I do a favorites video, it's literally because like I keep on using it, you know? Like I try a lot of makeup, but I like to stick to certain products. Like I really like zone in on certain things, and like that's going to be like a favorite for me. And I feel like, yeah, last year I did the same thing because a lot of these things I'm still using and I still think they're all pretty amazing. So that is the end of the video. I want to know from you guys, are there products that you used a lot last year that you're still using this year? Let me know that down below. Don't forget to enter into the giveaway. Leave those comments down below. Follow me over on Instagram at Christina Brooke Beauty, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.